أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to our classroom today. I hope and pray that everyone is doing very well. We'll begin with our opening prayer. So let's have a student to the mic for that. Can we have 2575 to the mic, please?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Jazakumullah for asking. So let's start from Dawood. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Good. Please read the translation.
I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected.
Good. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Good. And translation.
In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful.
Excellent. ربي علمني ما هو خير عندك.
Rabbi Ali.
علمني.
Rabbi علمني ما هو خير عندك.
Good. And the translation, please.
O my Lord, teach me what is best for me in your knowledge.
Excellent. And this is from Tazkirah. Yeah? Well done. Jazakumullah for coming to the mic. Allah Hafiz for now. Okay, so before we move on, just a reminder once again that from next week it's half-term break. So there will be no NL1 classes next week, and we will restart and commence classes from 31st of October, inshallah. So please do not come for class next week as it is holiday. But even though it's holiday next week, we are going to be setting you some half-term homework. And we have uploaded the homework for the half term to the Google Drive, and I have just posted the link to the Google Drive on the chat if you don't have that already. So you can click on that link and it will take you to all the PDFs and resources that we have uploaded so far to this course. And in there is a folder named half term homework. So if you click on that, your homework will be there that we expect you to please complete during the half term so that you can continue with your Quran recitation and you can still, you can carry your flow on onto the half term, and you can still practice during the half term. Okay, and in there's other PDFs and other resources for you to take benefit from as well. So please do make sure that you have a look at that homework as soon as possible. Jazakumullah. So class etiquettes and rules, please make sure that you are wearing clean clothes, heads are covered, and you're sitting in a nice and quiet place with your parents nearby, okay? And you're using your correct IDs to have logged in today. All right, so today we are going to be spending some time looking at the rule of Ghunnah. This is a new rule that we're covering today, so that's what we're going to be doing. And in your breakout rooms, you'll be covering Surah Al Imran, verses 182 to 186. And then I'd like you to please come back at the end of the class so that I can set you your homework as well. All right, so let's have a look at the rule in focus for today. It's nasalization. So today we are going to be looking at what is nasalization. We're going to be practicing the two different types of nasalization, which is Mim Mushaddad and Noon Mushaddad. And we are going to be then summarizing at the end with 6 easy steps for you to remember and memorize. Okay, so what is nasalization? Nasalization is an English word, and in Arabic it's known as Ghunnah. Ghunnah is a sustained nasal sound, so a nasal sound that you have to hold. Ghunnah must not be less than 2 seconds or 2 counts. Okay, so the minimum time you can give to the sound of Ghunnah is 2 seconds. Ghunnah is made on Mim mushaddad and Noon mushaddad. So wherever you see a shadda on a Mim or a shadda on a Noon, then those are the two instances where we have to make the Ghunnah sound. Mim mushaddad and Noon mushaddad. Nasalization is a special case of tashdid. So tashdid is a rule that we've covered in this course, and I'm sure you know it already, and we went through the various steps of tashdid. So nasalization is a special type of tashdid. And when you go through the steps of tashdid, so for a letter, a mushaddad letter, there is just one extra check that you have to do in that step that we've covered before to make sure and to identify if you have to make the Ghunnah sound. Okay, so there's just one extra step that we add to the steps of tashdid in order to identify if it's a Ghunnah sound that we have to make. Okay. Okay, so first of all, let's remind ourselves how we deal with mushaddad letters. And let's also remind ourselves of the steps we have to take to read tashdid. First step of tashdid is to identify the mushaddad letter. So for example, in this word over here in the circle, the mushaddad letter is the dal. It's a letter with a shadda on it, so it's a mushaddad letter. The next step is to identify the voweled letter. So the voweled letter is the letter before the mushaddad letter that has a stroke on it. So for example, over here, the voweled letter is the ba. The third step is to join the mushaddad letter and the voweled letter and ignore the stroke on the mushaddad letter. So as well as the shadda on top of the mushaddad letter, there is also a stroke on the letter. But for now, we're just going to join the voweled letter to the mushaddad letter, ignoring the stroke. So for example, over here, this is bad, bad. Then the next step is to look at the stroke on the mushaddad letter and make the correct sound. So the stroke on the mushaddad letter is the kasra. So dal with the kasra, D. And then the final step for the tashdid, the steps is to combine everything together, remembering to press down on the mushaddad letter. So we have to join the two sounds that we just made, bad and D. So all together it will be baddi. So this whole word is nubaddila. And we have to really make sure that we press down on the mushaddad letter. Okay, so now let's start having a look at the different focusing on the rule of Ghunnah. So as I said in the beginning, there are two different letters or two different instances where we have to make the Ghunnah sound. One is Mim mushaddad and one is Noon mushaddad. So let's have a look at Mim mushaddad first. Mim mushaddad, so let's have a look at this example over here in the Holy Quran. We will use this to practice the rule of Ghunnah on Mim mushaddad. Okay, let's focus on that bit first where it's highlighted, encircled. We have to identify the mushaddad letter first of all. Okay, the mushaddad letter over here is Mim. We have to then identify the most recent voweled letter. It is the Ha. Now let's join those two letters together, ignoring the mushaddad, the stroke on the mushaddad letter. So it will be Ham. We have ignored that fatha on top of the meme for now. Then what we have to do is we have to check that is that mushaddad letter a meme or a noon? If the answer is yes, then a Ghunnah sound will be made for no less than 2 seconds. So for example, over here, the mushaddad letter is a meme. Okay, so that means we have to make a Ghunnah sound. Then we have to look at the stroke on the mushaddad letter and make the right sound. So meme with a fatha, ma. Now we have to put everything together, remembering to emphasize the mushaddad letter and to make the Ghunnah sound as well. Okay? This was the extra step that we made that that was different to the ordinary tashdid steps that we do. And that extra step that we have to do is that we have to check if that mushaddad letter is a meme or a noon. And if it's yes, it is, then we have to make the ghunnah sound. So for example, over here, at the end over here, this final sound that we have to make is hamma, hamma. You can see that I'm pressing down. You can hear that I'm pressing down on the meme, and I'm holding that meme sound for about 2 seconds. Hamma. So rather than saying hamma, I'm saying hamma. Okay? One more time. Muhammadun. 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 Okay, so that is the rule of meme mushaddad and the ghunnah sound that we have to make for meme mushaddad. Now let's practice noon mushaddad. Okay, so same thing. This is an example from the Holy Quran where noon mushaddad is being applied. Let's focus on that bit where the mushaddad letter is. First thing we have to do is identify the mushaddad letter. The mushaddad letter over here is a noon. Then we have to identify the most recent vowed letter, which is the waw. Simply, we have to simply join the two letters together, ignoring the stroke on the mushaddad letter for now. One. Okay, we've ignored that fatha on the noon. We have to check now, is that letter a meme mushaddad or a noon mushaddad? The mushaddad letter, is it a waw or is it a meme or a noon? The answer is, yes, it is. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to make a ghunnah sound for not less than 2 seconds. And then we have to look at the stroke on the mushaddad letter, which is a fatha over here, and make the correct sound. Na. Now put everything together, remembering to emphasize on the mushaddad letter. So we're going to join those two letters together, and we're making sure to press down on the mushaddad letter and also making that ghunnah sound because the mushaddad letter is a noon. Ghunnah. Ghunnah. This was the extra step that we did over here that we don't do in an ordinary tashdid. Over here, the noon mushaddad is the extra step that we have to identify. That is the mushaddad letter in this word, a noon mushaddad or a meme mushaddad. And if it is, then we made that ghunnah sound. Okay, let's read this now. La tarawunna. La tarawunna. Okay, because it's a noon mushaddad, we made that nasal sound, the ghunnah sound, and we held that for 2 seconds. So rather than saying wunna, I'm saying wunna. Okay. All right. So that was the example of noon mushaddad. Now there's 6 easy steps that we should always do when we see a mushaddad letter, which includes the nasalization step. The first step, identify the mushaddad letter. Second step is identify the vowed letter. Step 3 is that we ignore, we join the mushaddad letter and the vowed letter, ignoring the stroke on the mushaddad letter for now. Check, is that mushaddad letter a meme or a noon? If the answer is yes, then a ghunnah sound is made for not less than 2 seconds. If the answer is no, so if it's any other letter apart from noon or meme, then you don't do ghunnah. Okay, that's the extra step. Number 5 is to look at the stroke on the mushaddad letter and make the correct sound. And then combine all that together. Okay, so all together this will be hamma. This is a meme mushaddad, so it is a ghunnah letter, so a letter that we have to sustain that ghunnah sound for. So it's hamma. Okay, so those are the 6 steps for nasalization. But if you're to take one thing away from this, is that when you see a mushaddad letter, identify that is that mushaddad letter a meme or a noon? Okay, if the answer is yes, then hold that meme or noon sound in your nose for about 2 seconds. Okay, and then carry on with the steps. Okay, so those are the steps. Please look out for them in the text that we are covering today as our practice text in the breakout rooms. There are some examples of there and there. So please have a look at that, and your teacher will point them out for you, inshallah, in today's class. Okay, so Jazakumullah. If everybody could please make their way to the breakout rooms now.